Today we're going to talk about domain and range, where domain is the x values, or the input values of a function, and range are the output values of a function, or the y's. So when you think about domain and range, really domain, again, is your inputs, and range is your outputs. And we're going to see how we talk about these and how we kind of label these. But I want you to keep that in mind as we go forward. Let's take this function. And this is a function because we have some dots as we go through this. But as we kind of look through this, let's look at its inputs and its outputs. So we'll say domain, and range. And its domain, if we look through this, would be, now we just go to each dot and we kind of look at its input and output. So when I look at that first dot, its domain or input is -3, and its range is 1. For the next dot, we can see its domain is -2 and its range is 0. For the next dot, we can see its domain is 1 and its range is 4. For the next dot, we can see its domain is 2 and its range is -5. For the next dot, we can see its domain is 5 and its range is 1, which we already have that in the list, so we are good. So if we have a bunch of points for domain and range, all we're going to do is just list out the points or the values. And again, these are our x's and these are our y's. Let's look at another example. Now this example is probably a little bit trickier because this example is not just a finite number of points. It has infinitely many points as you go around this circle. So there's a ton of points in between here. So we don't necessarily want to just get one of something. We want kind of a range of what's happening. So this is kind of how you write these things. You have a bracket and a parenthesis. This means the point is not included. We'll see how that works. And this means it is included. Okay, so as we kind of do this for the domain and range, a bracket tells you that it's included, a parenthesis tells you it's not included, and we always want to go from the lowest number to the highest number. So for our domain, when I look at my lowest number, so I'm going to look on my x-axis and I'm going to look what's covered. The lowest number that's covered is -2. So we're going to put a bracket because -2 is included, and it is my lowest number, so -2. And then we're going to look for our highest number, and that's up at 2. So our highest number is 2, and that number is also included because we have that point. For the next one, we'll look at our range, and we'll do the same thing. This time, though, we're going to look at the y-axis and look what's included. The lowest number that's included on this y-axis would be 1 right here. So that would be 1. And the largest number would be 5 up here. And again, as we say this, we go from -2 to 2. And all the points in there is included. You can see that by looking at that circle and see how it's all included right there. And then we go from our range from 1 to 5, and you can kind of see as we go on the circle that that's all included there. Let's look at another example. Okay, we're going to look at its domain and its range. Okay, so in this example, again, we're going to kind of look through some things. We'll look at its domain first. So when I look at this, we look across this axis, and I look for its smallest point. When I look for its smallest point, that's at -5. Now, if you look at this, you see this open dot right there. That means that point is not included. Like, we don't have that point. It goes all the way to that point. So we're going to use this time that parenthesis because that means not included. And that's all the way there at -5. And then we're going to go to its highest point, which is right here at 5. And that point is included because it's got a solid dot. So it gets a bracket. Now let's look at our range. Our range, our tallest y value is 2, and our shortest y value is -2. Now this is included because we do have a -2 that is a solid dot. So for this range, we go from -2 to 2. Let's try 2 more. Okay, so we got our domain and our range. On this one, we're going to look at all the values that are included. Now, when you look here, it kind of looks like it's stopping near this 3, but as you can kind of see this arrow, it's going to keep going, and it's probably going to keep going out this way more and more, and this one's probably going to keep going out this way more and more, and it's going to go forever. So our lowest one is kind of this negative infinity, and our highest one is this positive infinity. So negative infinity is not a number, so it's not technically included. And then we're going to go to positive infinity. Again, it's not a number, so it's not technically included. There's a faster way of writing that if you go from negative infinity to positive infinity. We call this all real numbers. So if you just put that R, that tells me it's all real numbers. Let's look at the y values then. So when I look at the y values, my lowest y value, well, that keeps going again, and that keeps going. So again, it's just all real numbers, or I can kind of write this as negative infinity to positive infinity. Let's look at another one. Okay, again, we're going to look for our domain. So I'm going to look across this axis. Our domain actually only happens in 2 points. It's at -3 and 2. So since it only happens in 2 points and it's not continuous for our domain, we're going to write that that is, again, we're going to make a list, and our list is -3, 2. And again, you can see that I'm making these list things. I'm not using brackets anymore. Our range, again, its biggest point, I can't tell you what that is because it keeps going. And its smallest point, I can't tell you what that is because that keeps going. So again, it's all real numbers. That's its domain and range. We'll keep trying and practicing a little bit of this. The notation that I've shown you today is called interval notation. And so we'll keep using interval notation and try to get it to be a little bit better as we move forward.